Okay, so let's dive into a real mystery in the world of global education. We're talking about 140,000 international students. That's enough to fill a massive stadium, twice, who just seemingly disappeared from all the top study destinations. But did they really vanish, or were they just redistributed?
Right, and this is the core idea of this whole explainer. Think about it. Student demand is kind of like energy. It doesn't just get destroyed. Nope. It changes form, it moves, it finds a new path. These students weren't lost to the system. They were just shuffled around the globe. And this chart? Wow, it just lays out the whole mystery perfectly. So on the left, you see the baseline for 2023. Then, bam, these huge drops from Canada and the UK. But look closely at the green bars. The US, Germany, and a few others basically absorbed all those students. And the net result? The market barely even budged. So this isn't a story about a shrinking pie, it's about the slices getting completely rearranged.
And that, right there, is the central question we are going to crack today. This is the case of the missing students. So where did they end up? And, maybe more importantly, why did they pack up and move in the first place?
To solve this mystery, we've got to do what any good detective does, follow the data. But wait, there's a huge plot twist. It turns out that to really understand where all these students went, we first have to grapple with the fact that the big official number everyone uses, well, it's just plain wrong.
Okay, so this is the number you'll see splashed all over the place for Indian students studying abroad. Almost 1.9 million. I mean, it's a huge, really impressive figure, right?
But here's the secret sauce, what this report calls the K-12 illusion. Buried inside that massive number are over 600,000 kids, children of the Indian diaspora, who are just attending primary and secondary schools, mostly in the Gulf countries. They're not higher education students at all. So, you pull that illusion out of the equation, and the true market for universities is actually 1.25 million. That's a full third smaller than everyone thinks it is. This completely changes the game and the context for our entire mystery.
And this slide just illustrates that statistical mirage perfectly. You've got the big official number at the top. You subtract the K-12 illusion, and boom, you get the real market size at the bottom. Getting this is so important because it lets us zero in on the actual university students who are on the move.
Okay, so now that we're working with the real numbers, let's get back to the why. What forces were so powerful that they literally pushed tens of thousands of students out of their top choice destinations like the UK and Canada? Well, it pretty much boils down to two things: policy and price. And you can see these two drivers in really stark visual terms right here. On the left, you've got a financial crisis being called the affordability wall, and on the right, you have a sudden, pretty severe policy-induced collapse that happened in Canada. Let's break them both down.
So, imagine you're a student. You're legally allowed to work, let's say 20 hours a week. The affordability wall is that point where 100% of the money you earn from that job can't even cover your rent. It's not even close. In London, it's just shocking. Your rent is 236% of your income. It's literally mathematically impossible to survive. So while affordability was this slow-burning fire, Canada basically threw a barrel of gasoline on it with these sudden policy shocks. The study permit refusal rate just skyrocketed to 74%. That means they were rejecting 3 out of every 4 applicants. And at the exact same time, the proof of funds they required, this thing called a Guaranteed Investment Certificate, or GIC, more than doubled overnight. All of a sudden, Canada wasn't just expensive, it was an incredibly high-risk gamble. So you've got students being pushed out by impossible costs and just insane policy risks. But where were they being pulled to? Let's flip the script and look at the other side of the story, the winners of this great redistribution. This map gives us the new lay of the land. You can see the traditional, super expensive markets like Canada and the UK up in that premium saturation zone. But look down there, at that golden curve at the bottom, the efficiency frontier. This is the new sweet spot, the new value zone. And the real standout performer there is Germany, which has gone from kind of a niche choice to a major mainstream destination. And you know what? Nothing makes the appeal of this efficiency frontier clearer than this slide right here. In London, after you work your tail off all month, you're still over £1,000 short on rent. Meanwhile, in Berlin, your part-time job actually covers your rent, and you have money left over. For a student trying to make ends meet, this isn't even a choice. It's a no-brainer. And the numbers totally back this up. Students are absolutely voting with their feet. This chart shows this incredibly clear pattern.
High-risk countries like Canada are seeing a 32% drop in growth, and at the same time, low-risk, stable countries like Germany are enjoying 20% growth. Policy safety equals student growth. It's that simple.
So what we're seeing here isn't just some random, chaotic shift. It really reveals a fundamental change in how students and their families are making these huge life decisions. There's a new, far more strategic logic at play.
And this is the new playbook. Think of it like a simple grid. On one axis, you've got the budget you need, from low to high. And on the other axis, you have the risk involved. We're talking visa uncertainty, sudden policy changes, all that stuff. Every single country now fits somewhere in this matrix. And what this matrix gives us is 4 really clear paths. You've got the low-risk, low-budget quadrant. That's the new growth engine, led by Germany. Then you have the stable but pricey options like Australia. The traditional English-speaking countries, they're now high-risk, high-budget, premium brands but with a ton of uncertainty. And finally, you have the lowest-cost options where the outcomes can be a bit more of a gamble.
But hold on, there's one more really important layer to this strategy. It's not just about getting in, it's about the end game. What's the probability of actually staying and working after you graduate? And this is fascinating. Even though Canada technically has a higher retention rate, the extreme upfront risk of just getting a visa makes Germany's solid 50% chance look way, way more attractive.
So this is the new calculus. It's this really sophisticated optimization. Students are not just chasing university rankings anymore. They are strategically picking destinations based on the best overall value, like you see with Germany, the best potential outcomes, like getting a tech job in the USA, or just the absolute best budget, like you might find in Central Asia.
And let's be really clear about this. This is not some temporary blip on the radar. The report concludes this is a permanent, structural shift. The entire way that students evaluate and choose where to invest in their education has fundamentally changed, for good.
And all this leaves us with a really fascinating final question. We've seen Germany rise to the top by offering incredible value and stability. So, as affordability and policy keep reshaping the world, you have to wonder, who's next? Which country is going to be the next one to join that efficiency frontier? It seems like this great redistribution is really only just beginning.